Well, welcome to church this morning, everybody. We're Joyful Noise, and we're going to be joyful and noisy. The words will be up on the screen. As you can see, a lot of the singers we normally have aren't here today, so you get to kind of listen to me, but that gives you an opportunity to be part of the band and sing along. Well, freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. If you feel it through the music, we can make this world a better place. Freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. If you feel it through the music, we can make this world a better place. We'll live together, love forever. It's the only thing that we can do. Well, hold my hand, by me stand. We're gonna make it through. Freedom and justice, freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. If you feel it through the music, we can make this world a better place. We'll fight for freedom and fight for justice and hold on to what is true. We'll keep the faith and love will win. We're gonna make it through. Well, freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. If you feel it through the music, and make this world a better place. Well, fight for freedom, fight for justice, and hold on to what is true. We'll keep the faith and love will win. We're gonna make it through. Come on here, put your hands together. Freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. You can feel it through the music. We can make this world a better place. One more time. Freedom and justice is the melody that let us shine on. Can feel it through the music. We can make this world a better place. All right, that's a song by Playing for Change. For everybody to move around a little bit and feel the music. This is participatory worship, so you feel the spirit to get up and dance around, clap your hands, sing along. Please do it. It is okay. I'm trading my sorrows, I'm trading my shame, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm playing my sickness, I'm trading my pain, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. I say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. Well, I'm praised but not crushed, persecuted, not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. But I haven't lost my faith, for this promise will endure. Love's gonna be my strength. For the sorrow will last for the night, the joy comes in the morning. I'm trading my sorrow, I'm trading my shame, I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness, I'm trading my pain, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. I say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. Play it for us, John. The sorrow may last for the night, the joy comes in the morning. I'm trading my sorrows, I'm trading my pain, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness, I'm trading my pain, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. Last time. I say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. All right. All right, little Michael W. Smith song. And this is one of my favorite Ruthie Foster songs. So we are going to, let's see here. We're going to bring the worship leaders up here this morning. So if the Spirit moves you and you'd like to rise for the occasion, put your hands together. We're going to start worship this morning with Runaway Soul. Well, I believe my soul has found a happy home. I believe soul has found a happy home. Well, you left me waiting here, stand here on my own. Sometimes you say I'm sorry, so easy to be cruel. I'm a long way from right, breaking all the rules. Well, I believe my soul has found a happy home. Well, you left me waiting here to stand here on my own. Play it for us, Richard. soul has found a happy home. Well, you left me waiting here to stand here on my own. Well, somebody save me, pray for me tonight. I'm a long way to go before see the morning light. Well, I believe soul has found a happy home. I believe the soul has found a happy home. Well, you left me waiting here to stand here on my own. Last time, I believe, well, I believe the soul has found a happy home. Well, I believe the soul has found a happy home. Well, you left me waiting here to stand here on my own.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole Fitzhugh, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees, and I would love to begin today's service with the acknowledgement of Indigenous lands. We acknowledge the land and the people who belong to this land, the Muwekma Ohlone peoples. Our church, institutions, and homes are occupying their lands, ancestral and current. We acknowledge that the lands were stolen from the Ohlone peoples, who have an ancestral relationship with this land, the plants, the animals, and the water for millennia, continuous to the present day. Ohlone people are still here. We also recognize that the Ohlone ancestors, in spirit and of the land, are present. In solidarity with all Indigenous people and their right to self-determination and justice, we commit to working toward accountability of the theft, dispossession, and resulting trauma Native peoples continue to face. We commit to being active partners toward the healing of the intergenerational trauma which persists to this day. Amen. So may we live. I welcome all of you here and those attending virtually. Welcome especially to those attending for the first time or for those who are beginning their journey with us. As a community, we strive to be a multiracial, multicultural, multi-generational congregation, building beloved community within and beyond these walls. And for the good of that community, I have some announcements. You all are invited to come to church on Saturday, November 19th. Children and Family Ministries is sponsoring a multi-generational, family-oriented, multi-congregational service, potluck, and game day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. A service project in the morning will be rewarded with a potluck lunch and fun and games, including a mini D&D campaign. That's Dungeons and Dragons, for those of you who had that question. Contact the Director of Religious Education, Jeff Melcher, at familyministry@uuoakland.org to sign up for a fun day together. And on the following Saturday, November 26th, you have another opportunity for service. Our congregation has been invited to join with volunteers from our next door neighbor, the African American Museum and Library, for a neighborhood cleanup. Come to help clean up the neighborhood, more importantly, to get to know our neighbors and to build that beloved community within and beyond the walls. Gloves, vests, and cleanup tools will be provided. Contact Steve Thomasberger via office@uuoakland.org for more info. And I confess, I have actually yet to visit the African American Museum and Library, which is being a very poor neighbor, and I myself am looking forward to taking part in this event. Today, after worship service, after you pick up some good reads at the Set Your Own Price book sale in Venti Hall, which is our community room just down the hall there. Please join Pastor Ninan Soto at the Introduction to Building Your Own Theology. Examine spirituality and ethics, meditation and other practices, justice and morality, and questions about God and practice in community without a focus on God. Intro to BYOT will begin 20 minutes after worship service ends. And Pastor Soto, is there a room for that?
Third floor.
It will be on the third floor. We have an elevator, or you can take the stairs up.
And also on Zoom, actually.
Oh, and also on Zoom. And in one voice, let the people say, oh, that's after the child sliding. You'd think I'd never been to a service before. Thank you. Thank you.
We're ready.
Hey, party people. How you feeling? Me too. Ooh, those elections, right? It's nice when things turn out the way you want them to. But that's not the only part of democracy, right? I was prepared to have a very dark day, and this song seemed a little bit on the happy side. But democracy's not just about getting your way, is it? This is from Rafi's song, Tweak the Words. In this time of turning, future so uncertain, feel the weight of democracy. As the strands of our flag unravel, we weave again our future democracy. We the people all rise up, feel the wave of democracy. In this time of turning, we are all relearning how to stand for democracy. The more we get together, care for one another, feel the wave of democracy. Right, by this time you know this song, right? We the people all rise up, feel the wave of democracy. We the people, young and old, feel the wave of democracy. Now as you chime in, sing along with me. We the people all rise up, feel the wave of democracy.
We light the Black Lives Matter candle today. Alex, could I ask you for that fire? Thank you. With the words, the art of Katie Wool, using the words of Alice Walker. It is natural to want to have a future. Thus, we light this candle for the future of Black people and their kin. That includes us. Let's say together the words on the screen. Black Lives Matter.
Now we light our chalice. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. May it remind us of the divine spark in all of creation, the power of love to heal what is broken and to be grateful for life's blessings each day.
Hi, everyone. The community of faith in which and from which we live finds its self-awareness in changing situations only through our speaking with each other. Our community of faith is a community of communication. It is a community of dialogue, or perhaps we should say of multilogue. Something very important for religious faith is implied by the very existence and possibility of communication. These words from James Luther Adams, from "In the beginning is the Word." And with these words, white Unitarian Universalist thinker and activist Reverend James Luther Adams calls us in this way: to be in conversation with one another, with the sound and the silence of the holy, and for each and all of us to share in the care and creation of our common destiny. And in one voice, let the people say, "Come, let us worship together." Our next hymn is number 1029 in the Teal hymnal, called "Love Knocks and Waits for Us to Hear." The words will be found on the screen.
Hi, I'm Marilyn McMahon. I discovered Unitarian Universalism when I was in high school, and right away I felt I had found my people. They talked about things other people were afraid to discuss, they thought for themselves, and they listened to each other, eager to put together their respective pieces of the truth. I didn't go to church regularly until I came to this one 4 or 5 years ago, but I was always a UU in my head and my heart. I'm currently the secretary of your board of trustees. Today I'd like to share with you a poem, What Love Isn't, by Ursa Daly Ward. Ursa Daly Ward was born to a Jamaican mother and Nigerian father in northern England, where she grew up with her grandparents, who were devout Seventh-day Adventists. What love isn't? It is not a 5-star stay. It is not compliments, and it is never, ever flattery. It is solid, not sweet, but always nutritious, always herb, always salt, sometimes grit. It is now until the end. It is never a slither, never a little. It is a full serving. It is much, too much, and real, never pretty or clean. It stinks. You can smell it coming. It is weight. It is weight, and it is too heavy to feel good sometimes. It is discomfort. It is not what the films say. Only songs get it right. It is irregular, it is difficult, and always, always surprising.
Dear ones, in the spirit of the community that brings us together each week, let us greet and welcome each other both virtually and physically, extending the common bond of fellowship to all who wander our way. And as we are still in pandemic conditions, please be aware of safe space and consent to touch one another. So good morning, congregation. Let us greet each other with a sign of welcome, love, and peace. What a wonderful sound, a sound of a vibrant and loving community, a community of love and warmth. I invite you to return to your seat. There will be time to join in conversation after the service in Venti Hall. Our next hymn this morning is From You I Receive, to You I Give. Together we will sing it once through in one voice. If you are on this side, house right, the side toward these beautiful stained glass windows near Castro Street, I will lead you in the round. If you are on the Venti Hall side, the side to house left, please follow Susan and she will lead you in the round. And then after we sing it twice through as a round, we will sing our final verse all together in one voice. So just follow along. There is no wrong way to do a round. So let us join together.
I'll do it for you once through, so you can be reminded about how it goes, and then you'll feel confident to do the round. I know you will. We can do this.
All right, house right. From you. Dear ones, let us join together in a time of prayer and meditation. Spirit of love, life, and justice, you who go by many names but are commonly known as God, we give thanks for this time. This time to be get together in community in this early winter, late autumn, this time of darkness and cold and rest, where we remind ourselves of the importance of quiet. Dear God, we uphold those who are celebrating, those who have joy in their hearts, and we are there with the people who are struggling, those who mourn and suffer. We uphold those in our community who are struggling with health and wellness. May they be cared for. May they be comforted. And we remember those whose lives have come to an end, either naturally or unnaturally. We feel their absence. We particularly uphold Sally Keats, the mother of Charles Keats, who passed away this week. We hold them in our care. We give thanks for the young and old alike, those who have shown us a way and those who show us a new way. We pray for our city streets, both here and afar, those affected by violence, both directly and indirectly. We apologize for the ways that we have fallen short. When we are short in temper, when we do not live up to our highest ideals, when we have broken covenant. And we give thanks for the grace that we receive and the grace that we give one another when we return together in covenant and begin again in love. Now let us hold space where those can name the people, place, and events we have brought together who need prayers of love, support, or celebration.
Happy 29th birthday, Miss Kitty.
time, so it's struggling its way on Thursday.
For all these prayers spoken and those that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, for the people, places, and events that weave us together in a tapestry of love we call peace and community. We say we hold them in our care.
Many of you might know the delight and friend of our congregation, who is Barbara Atkinson. She and I had planned for her to share with you today, but a family need arose that Barbara's tending to this morning, so we'll have to reschedule. But please do look forward to that and hold Barbara and her family in your care today.
Our responsive hymn for today is "May I Be Light in You," written by Reverend Michael Slack.
Well, beloved congregation, we sang this several weeks ago, and there was a positive response, so I am bringing it back so that we may sing it again together and learn it and lift our voices together. So no pressure, though, about singing it. Just enjoy, sit in your seats. Please sing along if you'd like to. Otherwise, just let the music move through you and know that you are here. We are all here.
May I be light in you, may you be light in me, into our hearts, into our souls, let love abide. May I be love in you, may you be love in me, from this place out to the world for all time. May I be light in you, may you be light in me, into our hearts, into our souls, let love abide. May I be love in you, may you be love in me, from this place out to the world for all time.
Even if you feel you can't sing, give it a shot. We'd love to hear your voice.
May I be light in you, may you be light in me, into our hearts, into our souls, let love abide. May I be love in you, may you be love in me, from this place out to the world for all time.
I heard you, and you were wonderful.
Dear ones, I have one final invitation for you today. Stewardship 2023. It is not too late to turn in your pledge card. Just see Rinda at the stewardship table in Venti Hall after church, or see Chalice Chatter or the church website for everything you need. Rinda, could you raise your hand so people can see you? Thank you, Rinda. Also, everyone is invited to attend church on November 20th for bread communion and for a post-service soup and salad lunch in celebration for community generosity. Stewardship results will be announced and board members will be present to share the next steps and encourage congregational involvement. Soup. And stewardship. Two very important S words. My name is Reverend Alex Haider-Winnett, and I bring you greetings from the ancestral and current homelands of the Wintun Patwin Nation in Yolo County in the heart of the Sacramento Valley, where I serve as a chaplain at a retirement community in Davis, California. It is a pleasure to be home here in Oakland under these redwood beams, in a congregation that is not afraid to play a punk rock cover of a Raffi song in service. It is good to be here. It does my heart good. I would like to thank you all for having me here today. It is a blessing and an honor to worship with all of you. And you may notice this lovely, lovely fabric here on the pulpit. This is Reverend Ninon's pulpit. This fabric was blessed at their ordination as a traveling pulpit, as a place that is blessed by community and made sacred, so that they may always have an accessible space to preach the good word. I am honored to preach here with these two pulpits that mean so much to me. This community has supported me through difficult times, affirmed my ministry, and celebrated with me in joy as they ordained me last spring. And so it is a pleasure to be back with you. Now, I'm going to admit something I probably shouldn't. Or rather, it's probably something you wouldn't expect to hear from someone in the pulpit, but here it goes. You don't have to be here. Nobody is making you come to church. You woke up this morning, got dressed, and came to church under your own free will, and that is okay. I am glad you are here. And yet you didn't have to. There are countless other activities that are vying for your attention. There's NPR and the New York Times crossword puzzle, there's brunch, there's going to the movies, you could putter around in your garden, you could take the dog for a walk, or you could even be at work providing for your family. Countless other activities could have filled your morning, and yet you chose to be here at church today. So whether it is your first time or your 1,001st time, I am glad you chose to worship with us today. So why church? Of all the activities that could have taken you away from us, why did we choose church? Now that's a crucial question. That is one of my favorite questions, because I think it is a vital question for our time. With the changing demographics of American religiosity, it seems like maybe we are betting on the wrong horse. Mainline churches of all denominations are struggling to fill their pews and are expected to do more with less in their budgets. This was true before the pandemic, And it only increased and accelerated since then. While boomers and previous generations may have identified as culturally Methodist or culturally Catholic, meaning their parents were one church and their grandparents were one church, and so you just go to that church. Maybe just once or twice a year for Christmas and Easter, but that's what you were expected to do. We are now seeing Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Z are increasingly the generations of nuns. N-O-N-E-S, nuns. Meaning they don't identify with a particular religious tradition. Now, we've always had people who existed on the periphery of church communities, those who never really fit in anywhere else. Nuns are a hodgepodge of different beliefs and practices, and they are increasing in numbers. Maybe they are spiritual but not religious, or they have a yoga practice and attend AA, or maybe they belong to a multi-faith family. And we now have folks who are second or even third generation unchurched. And we see these numbers increasing every year. Fewer and fewer people see the benefit of belonging to a religious community. And yet, people keep darkening our doorsteps. People keep coming to church. Not just longtime members, but also new folks. People who perhaps left their church community and are looking for something new, something life-giving that they could not receive before. People who are raised never going to church are coming to church out of curiosity, or they're looking for something. These are folks who don't know how to do church, but they feel the pull to come to church. Not a bowling league, not a rowing club, not a litter cleanup, but church with hymns and a sermon and coffee after, church. So why is that? Let us consider the work of one of our UU theologians, James Luther Adams, or JLA, as he is lovingly called. JLA traveled to Germany in the 1930s and witnessed the rise of Hitler and the Third Reich firsthand. He studied how fascism rose in Europe, and he became an important part of the resistance at the time, bringing information about Hitler's action to North America. In the years after, he wrote extensively about civil society, democracy, and covenant. James Luther Adams was a theologian for Antifa. For JLA, civil society, that is, worship communities, fraternal orders, the PTA, game nights, sports leagues, and other voluntary associations are crucial for the success of small d democracy. By being in relationships of accountability with one another, it creates the sense of kinship and belonging. It is a way to blow off steam from the pressures of totalitarianism. By creating communities of mutual aid and support with our neighbors and kindred, we resist the tide of hatred and prejudice. I think this is a concept that most folks innately understand. Any sort of community-building exercise is beneficial to both the individual and society at large. Curling teams and community gardens are necessary for a healthy democracy. And yet there is a particular benefit to struggling together for a common cause, to make meaning, to ask hard questions, to love and support each other, to work to get one another free from the bonds that oppress. There is something intangibly beneficial to being in community with people who are different ages, different races, classes, and backgrounds. And few groups are as effective in accomplishing this than churches and communities of faith. There is a benefit to sitting next to someone in worship who thinks differently from you. There is a benefit to working together in a community, on a committee with someone who gets on your nerves. To sing with people who think you are weird. To pray along someone who you think is weird. To be in an accountable relationship with those who challenge your preconceptions and inspire you to be a better person. In sociology, there is a concept called the third space. This is a space that is neither work nor home. It is a neutral space where people of different backgrounds interact to have fun and to work for a common cause. Now, whether that cause is winning a sports trophy, or cleaning up the river, or worshiping the divine together, this is a basic human need. And in the past 50 years, we have seen third spaces squeezed out of existence. In his book about the decline of civil society and third spaces, Robert Putnam lays out what we have lost by allowing our social capital to diminish. We fall into believing the myth of individualism, the idea that we are beholden to no one but ourselves and our own desires. And community devolves into a group of people working for their own best interests. Now, my third space is a community in my hometown of Davis. It is one where I have been a member for the last 4 years. This community includes professors, judges, the chief of police, the fire chief, small business owners, the executive director of our farmers market, at least 4 former mayors of Davis and the current one, and a county supervisor. This organization gives out tens of thousands of dollars each year in grants and scholarships to make sure kids leaving the foster care system are supported, low-income families can send their children to summer camp and get swim lessons. We support dozens of other nonprofits through our fundraisers and activities. And this organization that I am proud to be a part of is Lodge number 169 of the Independent Order of Oddfellows. The Oddfellows are a non-sectarian organization whose mission is to educate the orphan, care for the widow, and bury the dead. Our watchwords are friendship, love, and truth. And I like to say that the purpose of Oddfellows is to give away as much money as possible. And although Davis has less than 1/5 the population of Oakland, our lodge, Lodge number 169, is the largest Oddfellows lodge in the world. We are also the fastest growing. While most lodges are shrinking, initiating just a small handful of new members, we welcome 50 new members a year. This year, we doubled the number of members who have ever existed in the lodge for the last 150 years. And we're on track to do it again in the next 5 years. If our lodge was a UU church, it would be the 5th largest in California. And we do this as a 100% volunteer-run organization. So how do we do it? It's simple. People want to be part of something greater than themselves. So here's here's what we are doing well. One, it is considered an honor to invite someone to join the lodge. We are not shy about inviting people to a social event or a fundraiser. We are proud of what we accomplish, and we want people to be part of this movement. When someone joins, they are asked to name 3 committees that they want to join. The chair of each of these committees then invites them to a meeting, and it is expected that every new member joins at least 2 committees. When a person is joined, they are encouraged to work with a mentor to help them find a place in the lodge and determine which of their skills and talents can be useful. And it is an honor. It is an honor. People are clamoring to serve in a leadership position. There are entry-level positions where the responsibility is low, and once you get on the ladder of leadership, you make your way up the rungs, learning more and more about how the organization works and how to serve as a leader. Friends, I am proud to be an Odd Fellow. It deepens my faith as a Unitarian Universalist. It gives me a sense of belonging into my larger community, and it gives me a sense of purpose. Inviting people to participate in something greater than themselves and to do good work for the community is a way we make organizations we love grow. We need to be in community. In particular, I think we all need religious community together. As long as people are born, grow old, grow ill, and die, there will be a need for religious community and ritual. As long as people pledge fidelity to each other or to a cause, there will be a need for religious community and rituals. And as long as people have unanswerable questions about the human condition and our place in the universe, there will be need for religious communities and rituals. And we know that it is up to each and every one of us to build and sustain that work. I think the thing that keeps us from truly engaging in this work, the thing that makes it easy to discount someone and makes the promise of our faith so challenging, is a consumer-centered culture. As long as we see worship and church life as a transaction, as an exchange for resources, for goods and services, it is an extension of capitalist economies. We will never be free that way. As long as we give within our comfort zone because the music is good and we like the preaching, church will only function as well as the market. And if we use our pledge as a weapon, withdrawing our resources as punishment, boycotting church for no longer making us feel good, then church will never be a force for transformation and liberation in this world. Because those are the tools we use in the name of scarcity. That is a mentality of I win and you lose. It is an idea that there is never enough to go around, and I better get mine before you get yours, and in that case, we all lose. We are going to need to move from a mindset of scarcity where we cling to what is ours to a spirit of compromise, of generosity and solidarity, where we know that some things will be for us and others will not, and that's okay. To foster a spirit of mutual appreciation, to know that maybe we don't like a certain hymn, a specific prayer, that moment of silence that goes on a little too long, but we know that the person next to us loves that hymn. needs that prayer, longs for that moment of stillness. And knowing that our neighbor loves something that challenges us, helps us appreciate it a little bit more. We need to stop thinking of church as a transaction and start thinking of it as a source of transformation. Because here's the thing, the people who come to church for the first time each week, especially those who were raised unchurched, they don't have to be here. And yet they do. They are looking for something. They are longing for something. They have lost a loved one and they don't know what to do. They have moved to a new area and are looking for human connection. They are someone who is struggling with their identity or their sexuality, and they wander into a building with a rainbow flag because they need to know that there is someone safe to talk to. They want to make a difference in this world. They want to know that things do not have to be the way they are. Merely to come to a church or a temple or another religious community for the first time is inherently an act of faith. They are taking a risk to make a connection, to find their people. And that means we need to take that risk of faith too. So friends, look around you. These beautiful redwood beams and stained glass windows, these old seats. This sacred space we share was not built from 5-year plans. This community was not made from an act of convenience. This was all built in faith for the future. We did not build these walls, but they were entrusted to us. We did not craft these windows, but we tend to them. This was all made for us. And someday a time will come in which we pass it on to someone who needs it more than we do. This is why we give to the sustenance of this church, because some people dreamed of us and wanted to bequeath this space so that we can do the work they started and could not complete. And someday, someone, perhaps somebody not even born yet, will pick up where we have left off, because church is not a bank where you put in something and take it out later. Instead, it is putting what we have together to create something greater than ourselves. I know this fear of scarcity tricks us into thinking we have never enough to give, that we must save and save and save and save, because giving away means we never know what disasters may befall us when we need those resources, when we have nothing but the money in the bank. And yet, we need to remember that we give to this community and receive blessings beyond what any of us could give. Scripture says, "Your God brings you into the land which was sworn to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you great and splendid cities which you did not build, and houses full of all good things which you did not fill, and hewn cisterns which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, but you will eat and are satisfied." That's Deuteronomy. We benefit from the hard work of the people who came before us, and our hard work will benefit of those who come after. Let the trees we plant today be comfort for tomorrow. Let us tend to the wells of our ancestors, so our descendants may drink the same cool, sweet water we have. that our house of worship continues to care for the wanderers, the mystics, the seekers, and the caregivers among us. Individually, very few of us can afford to upkeep this building on its own. We may never be able to donate a stained glass window. But just like the ministries of the church cannot be run by a single person alone, we all give our time, our talent, and treasure to ensure the next time someone needs us, we are available. We freely accept the legacy of those who came before us, and we carefully tend to it until our time comes to pass it on. Let us bequeath more freedom. Let the legacy we love be this community. Let our legacy be justice. Let our legacy be love. Because let's face it, while none of us are forced to be here, we are all here. And that is what matters. Here we struggle together. Here we celebrate together. Here we grieve and mourn together. Here we make meaning together. We encourage and tend to one another's dreams. We do this together in faith and in covenant. We allow ourselves to be transformed so that we can transform the world. We live with thanksgiving and appreciation for the gifts we have received. We live in a spirit of compassion, of generosity and solidarity. And we do so with a kind and giving spirit. Let's not do this for ourselves, but for the future, for the people who do not know they need us yet. For the people who are born today, another Savior for the world. And let us commit to building what is needed. May it be so. And amen, ashe, and blessed be. Now, let us hear from Linda Propert-Sanford and Donna Fujioka on how being part of this congregation has helped them raise their children. Let's watch together on the screen.
Friends, today I'm here with Donna Fujioka and Linda Propert-Sanford to talk about their experience as parents of older children who have grown up in this congregation. The specific thing I'm interested in them sharing with you is what it was like and how it was helpful to their family. Linda, Donna, please go ahead.
It took this village to help raise our daughter, Kimi, who will be turning 29 on Monday. A young adult at that time, Jeff, who was single, no plans to have kids, was the one who told me that two congregants, Lila Ibrahim and Katrinka Ford, were going to open a brand new preschool. This was at a point where I had no bandwidth to even think about the childcare my daughter would need. And so Kimi went there and stayed there until she started kindergarten. Her teachers, in addition to Lila and Contrica, were Sherry Prudhomme, Pre-Star King, as well as Shauna Goodwin. Her name was Shauna Goodwin Knight, who at that point was a Star King divinity student. At Woolsey, Kimi learned conflict resolution and other skills, and was a kid who, for many years, went to bed with the church's picture directory. on the chair that she used as a nightstand so that she could study the pictures and the names over the years. And I think this was even before she sold all those people her Girl Scout cookies. She would babysit Zoya occasionally. That's Linda and Clark's daughter. She also experienced heartbreak. Amy sang in a choir for many years, and she was heartbroken when some members of the congregation left after a conflict to start another congregation. As well as she experienced heartbreak when her youth advisor, Kevin McGowan, died. And so this was somebody, not a relative, whose memorial service she attended one weekend, along with the father of another congregant, Bart Burns, who had died from brain cancer. But this has all contributed to the wonderful person who's turning 29 on Monday. And I have to say, in a lot of ways, the congregation, I think, is her Lily and James Potter. Thank you.
I remember a lot of those things, Donna. I do, a lot of those people. I was a member of the congregation for a few years before I decided in my early 40s as a single woman that I had missed out on something and forgot to become a mother. And so I started pursuing the idea of adoption. And I knew that doing that job by myself would be very challenging. But I also knew that I had a ton of support from the congregation. People were excited about the adoption process. And I remember thinking to myself, these people are going to be here when I need help. And they were. I adopted my daughter and brought her home on Valentine's Day and marched into church in the very back of the church. And the moment that we entered, the choir, which had been practicing up in the front, half of the choir just stopped singing and ran up the aisle to meet this child, and have been embracing her ever since. I can remember having about a month after my daughter came home, I had a health issue arise for me. I threw my back out. Apparently I didn't know how to lift a baby. And the doctor said, well, just don't pick up anything, it's more than about, 15 pounds. Well, my daughter was a little more than 15 pounds at 7 months. And so, how am I supposed to do that? And I mentioned it to someone at church who contacted the pastoral associates. And within a few hours, a member of the pastoral associates that I'd never met before called me and said, what time do you need me to come in the morning? And what do you like in your coffee? And for a week, Dan Kane, pre-seminary, came to my house and helped me get the baby up out of bed and take her down into the, onto a quilt in the living room where we could do everything that needed to be done until the end of the day. And by the end of the day, somebody from my neighborhood was available to come. But Dan was there like at crack of dawn every day and stayed for 3 or 4 hours, had a ball, just enjoyed himself enormously. And Dan has since passed away. He and his partner, his husband, Darren, have 3 children. And I know that when Zoe comes home from school in Florida at the holidays, she will be saying to me, Mom, I need to make a time to go to see Dan's kids, because Darren was good to me and good to you. And now we need to be good to them. We need to take care of his kids like Dan took care of us. There are other examples of things that happened. I got home and, I'm still sort of a deer in the headlights figuring out how to do this all by myself. And somebody from church said, who had a daughter who was 3 months older than my daughter, said, we're taking our daughter, we have to go back to work. So we're taking our daughter to a preschool just a mile from where you live. And all of a sudden we were like enrolled in the school and had a space waiting for Zoe for the moment that I needed to go back to work. Just the sense that my daughter has, that she can walk into church and everybody there knows her and loves her. That gives her such a strong foundation. And I've been so pleased to see, as Dan Kane told me once, that how could a child who grew up in this congregation turn out to be anything but a kind and compassionate person? Because that's the example that she sees all the time. So that's my story.
That's so beautiful, friends. Thank you for sharing. Donna and Linda share with you so that as we reflect on our stewardship opportunities for the congregation, we know what we're supporting. This possibility for families, these connections for children, this opportunity to make the world a healthy and peaceful place for each of you as you serve. In just a moment, the ushers will come forward and we will wait for the offering to be collected. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope.
Thank you all for your acts of generosity and the gifts that we share. I invite you to please rise in body and or spirit as we bless these gifts offered. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community, we dedicate ourselves, and these are offering. Thank you. Dear ones, I invite you to remain standing just for a moment and to reach out, make some sort of human contact as you feel comfortable. So a hand or a shoulder or some eye contact. Human contact, that is what we're about here. Dear ones, the work we do here together is important. What you do is important for today, tomorrow, and beyond. May the work we do be a legacy of love for Oakland, for California, for the United States, and beyond. May our faith be a faith of transformation. So go out into the world and bring love to those so they may feel love together. Dear ones, our worship has ended, but our service has just begun. Let the people say amen. Friends, I remind you that our stewardship campaign is still going on. It's not too late to turn into your pledge cards. Next week, we will have that delicious soup and salad lunch, bread communion, and Build Your Own Theology class starts on the 3rd floor in 20 minutes. So be well. Have a wonderful week.